Welcome, everybody. Wonderful to see you here. Wishing you a good arrival into this call, this day, this evening, this morning, depending on where you are. We do have translation for you, interpretation for you today into German. Wir haben Deutsche Übersetzung für diejenigen, die es brauchen. And we have a really special call. It couldn't be a better topic for the day and the time. Centering in stability, maturity, in moments of crisis. And Kirsten Timmer, who's hosting this call. I just also want to say that she's a dear friend of mine. And I'm so delighted that we could win her to be with us tonight for this call. And she's really an expert on this topic. How can you teach parents to stay grounded, spacious, calm in situations where the children have very strong emotions? That's her area of expertise. But of course, this expertise serves us in any situation that is triggering, whether it's our partner, the world events, whatever crisis is shaking our world. Are we able to rest in ourselves, to have enough spaciousness, to ground, to not become part of the wave, but be the rock that allows the waves to come towards and leave again, and offers a space of co-regulation for others. So tonight we're going to really deepen this topic, and I'm very grateful that we are, because we have, quite challenging situations in the world with different wars, different crises. Another hurricane traveling today towards Mexico, Florida. And it's just big times. Big times. Lots of stuff that could bring us out of our center. So how do we center in stability? And Kirsten Timmer is a social entrepreneur, one of the founders and CEOs of Transparence, Transformational Parenting, a company that supports parents and professionals in their personal growth to develop a strong, positive relationship with themselves and their children. She's an educated psychologist, a psychotherapist, a norm therapist, and a counselor for parents. She teaches in numerous trainings, courses, speaks at conferences, and in 2005 she founded the Arco School. So this is a school for children, which is a place for personal self-directed learning. Very leading edge, wonderful place for children to grow up and be educated. And she's been a student with Thomas Hübel since 2007, a senior student today, and she's also the happy mother of a grown-up son. Very nice. We share quite a few aspects of that, Kirsten. Yeah, so thank you to you for being here, and I hand it over to you and look forward to a wonderful, inspiring session with you.
Thank you, Kosha, for the introduction and for having me here. Yes. So I'm excited to share tonight a bit of this really important topic about escalation, de-escalation, and what supports us as human beings to find an inner stability. So the intention of our community call tonight is really to get more awareness, what is going on inside of me and in others in moments of crisis and also to understand a bit more why it's sometimes so hard for us to have this capacity when, like in crisis, other people, individuals are under stress and the reactions which are going on are also affecting us so strongly. So why it's sometimes so hard for us to stay centered when there is escalation around us. So practically, that's why it's also so interesting for us to understand that it has a lot to do with our upbringing, as many of you know for sure. And I want to give a bit of a deeper understanding of the mechanics of this development when children start to really connect to their feelings and what is needed. So I'm very excited to introduce you a bit deeper in that. And actually, it has a lot to do with regulation, as Kosha was sharing with you. But the regulation is a complex topic. And what is really important for us to understand is that a mother or a father, so a close attachment figure, and a child, they have an attachment relationship. And this attachment relationship, one deep purpose of the attachment relationship is to regulate the child. But it's a bit more complex than just to regulate. So the regulation has a lot to do with the deeper get to understand who I am as a child. So as a child, I'm totally dependent on my caregiver, or my attachment caregiver, to start to get to know myself, to understand my needs, to understand my feelings, or to feel my feelings. As Thomas always says, it's about feeling the feelings, but also to understand me as a person. So at the beginning of my life, I'm totally dependent on that caregiver. And I want to show you a bit more what it means when we really talk about regulation. And a bit later, I also want to invite you into an inner short meditation where I will guide you to support, to strengthen this inner maturity or this inner centeredness. So to come back to this developmental part where the child is still a child and is very depending on mother or father or the close caregiver. One part is when the child has needs, but something which is very important is when the child has a strong need. When it's very little, it's hard for the child to communicate in a very sophisticated way. You know, it's just crying, or it's just trying to communicate in a certain way. And we as parents, for us, it's to find out what the child really, really wants. Yeah, and this is not something we need to know, but it's something we can start to do in a way of when we attune. So the attunement and the curiosity is a very important skill, and not that we always know everything about our children. So when we are curious and when we are trying to attune, we can find out what the child really needs. And with our curiosity, the child can connect to itself, to its needs, and start to build a healthy relationship to it. So what often happens is when the child tries to communicate something, and for example, it causes pain in the body because it's hungry, or when it's older, it doesn't want, for example, to share something, then the child is experiencing a lot of strong emotions. Yeah, and I want to show you now what is happening when there are a lot of strong emotions, because we need a deeper understanding what's going on, what is really a feeling or a primary emotion. I'm gonna explain that a bit later. And what is a reaction, which looks like an emotion, but it's kind of a reaction which supports us to run away of ourselves. And because a lot of us, we didn't have like parents who were centered and kind of calm and open to be there for us when we lose the ground, a lot of us do not have this capacity in ourselves to give that for our children. So in this situation, which I want to show you, the child, for example, wants something really badly because it starts to connect to its will. It wants something really, really badly. And the mother or the father, they know, they see that, but they cannot say yes. You know, they cannot give the child the toy of the brother or sister because brother or sister just is playing with the toy, for example. In this moment, a lot of children, as you know, they start, and now I want to show this on my body, the child feels this wave of a lot of energy because it wants this toy. And this is the will, you know. This is a lot of power and life energy. It wants to have this toy. But it's not a guided energy yet because it's a child. And the parent has to say no because the parent wants to, in this example, wants to strengthen the boundary of the sister or brother who is playing with the toy and want to protect the space of the sibling. So the child does feel this energy, this healthy life aggression, which wants to change something. This energy is there and wants to change something. But because it's a lot of energy and the child is really small, it's very fastly flooded with this energy. So what's happening is that the child loses the ground and starts to have a lot of emotions which are not really felt. And for us, this is very important to understand. It has a lot of emotion, and I want to show it to you like this, in a way of it's too much energy, you know, it's too much, and it's also a kind of aggression who wants to change something, and this energy is not yet regulated. So this is energy which is not regulated. This is also energy which a lot of adults, grown-ups have and are not regulated. But we come to this later. So everything I'm sharing is something we also see in grown-ups because we did not have parents who could support us to de-escalate and regulate. So in this moment, when this energy is like too much for the child, and maybe, yeah, to just show it like that, we can see it loses a bit the connection, the self-connection. It's not a felt feeling. It's a reaction which, and this is which is very important, in the moment when the child can't change the situation. Yeah, sometimes this energy has a deeper reason, because you need it, that you are able to change something which you are not. For example, if you are not agreeing with a situation, or you want to change something, you need this energy. But as we can see, when the energy is there, it's going to be destructive. It's going to be destructive because it's not felt. So there is now one important or two important possibilities. One possibility is that the child connects to the information that he or her wants really the toy, and it wants again to really bring his need or his will into the connection. But the child has to learn to say that in a way that he's not losing it, because children have to learn that. And I'm going to show you a bit in a while what is our response as parents that a child needs to be able to start to feel that, what it really needs. The other option is that the child needs to feel that it's not possible. It needs to feel that it has to accept that it can't have what it wants. So this feeling is a deeper transformation. I'm going to show you in a moment. So what is very important for us, and everything I'm saying right now, we also can translate it then later to us as grown-ups in situations of crisis. So in the best way as parents, our job is to raise children when they are flooded with so-called strong or negative emotions, to connect to them calm, highly positive, also compassionate, and with a total de-escalated energy. You can maybe feel it when I'm sharing it with you. So what's actually needed, which is so hard for us because we also escalate very fast, is that the attachment figure, the parent, is when the child has lost his ground, that the parent is relating to the child highly compassionate and calm and positive. So you can feel the energy. What's starting to happen is that the child comes down when there is a connection, which is not going up. Yeah, most of us, sometimes when the child is very aggressive or very much in strong emotions, we are also de-escalated. So the best reaction we can start to learn as parents, and it's something we need to learn, but it takes sometimes a bit time, is that we are not engaging into this energy. We are engaging in a way that we de-escalate, and the de-escalation is something where we stay connecting in ourselves with a calmness, with a feeling of everything is all right, It's being at home in ourselves. And we talk like that to the child. We say, hey, I really want to understand, what you want. Let's sit down. Everything is all right. Come a bit closer. I can hold you. So I'm doing the opposite what our what our reaction of the original system is. So our survival reaction when somebody is very escalated is to be also very upset and to be agitated and to be in this way. But actually, when I'm really mature, I have a relationship, or I embed it in deeper levels of maturity. And the levels of maturity has a lot to do with our frontal cortex. So in this moment, we can stay in a relationship with ourselves and with the child. We are not escalating with it because we see, wow, so interesting. My child just totally lost the ground. And I'm not going to educate it in this moment because nobody is there. I just know when somebody is escalated, nobody is there. And it needs first a calm, positive connection or reaction, or staying there, attunement, so that the child starts to connect deeper again to himself. And then maybe it gets invited of the parent to really say in a more moderate way what it wants. Mama, but I really want this toy. And then it's very important for the parent to listen, even if you have to say no, to listen, because the child is in the first 7 years dependent of us. It only can understand himself better, and it only can understand his will when we reflect it back and when we say, okay, I hear you. You really want this toy. So this is another second layer of the escalation. The first layer is the calm, positive attunement, where I do not do so much. I'm more connected to myself and I de-escalate through the calmness. And my second step is that I really want to give a sign that I see you, that I hear you. Because as many of you know, a lot of us, we escalate when somebody doesn't hear us, or when somebody doesn't listen to us. And this has a lot to do because we as children did not have a parent who really wanted to listen to us, even when we have to say no. Because the frontal cortex is not on board yet in the first 6 or 7 years. The child is totally dependent of this external structure. Thomas always refers it as an external structure, the parental function. And the external structure, or the parent or the attachment figure, reassures, I did hear that you wanted the toy. And I really appreciate it when you say it like that I can hear you. So I'm also inviting and giving a positive feedback in a way. It's nice when you just say it, and when you are not totally de-escalate and starting to hit me or your brother, or having a meltdown, And then when the child hears, okay, Mama did hear me or Papa, it feels safe. And then the next step, which is very, very scary often for parents, also for us, I think, is then that the parent stays in the connection or stays really in the relationship and then confronts the child with the no. I'm really sorry, but you can't have this toy. When your brother is finished, is finishing his play, we can ask him. But now you really can't have it. And I'm saying that with a clarity, but also I'm already connected to the disappointment, to the sadness, to the grief. It's sad. It's a moment of vulnerability. And because the child is not there anymore, it's more in his attachment field because of the de-escalation of the attachment figure. It can start to feel the disappointment or the pain or the sadness. And it can start to maybe to cry, to be just sad. It's too bad. I really, really wanted this. It's too bad. I'm so disappointed. And as you maybe can feel what's happening now, the child is not running away anymore of his pain or disappointment. I mean, it's not a really huge thing to want to have a toy or not. But children are practicing because later we need these skills, when we are adults. So it's a toy first, and later it's about politics, it's about countries, it's about money, whatever. So what we did see in this last step is the clarity of the confrontation of the no in connection. So it's a yes in the relationship, but a no to the toy. And then this is kind of a bridge, this connection from the mature system of the parent is a kind of a bridge where the child inside of him can start to deeper feel the disappointment or the pain. And this is very important because I said in the beginning, there are primary emotions and there are, in norm, they are called default emotions, Standardgefühle in German. We also can say, as I said in the beginning, primary emotions are emotions or feelings which are connecting us deeper to ourselves, to our heart, or to our authenticity, to our needs. So they're primary emotions, like in my example, the child who is feeling the disappointment. It's very sad and there is a bit of pain in the heart, but it connects it connects the child with himself. And after this wave of this primary feeling, the emotion is just finished. The emotion they just run through the system, and often children are just standing up after half a minute or two and are going to play because all the pain could go out, the disappointment could go out. Sometimes there is a lot of adrenaline which has to come out of the tears because the child was in a fight mode in the beginning. And then, as I said, we have the default emotion, Standardgefühle in German, Or, as I said in the beginning, these are reactions or strategies which support us. These are very intelligent strategies or reactions which support us to run away of ourselves. They are very intelligent because we needed to build them to feel safe as children. Maybe I can say a bit more to that later, but what is important now is to see that in the situation I wanted to share with you, with the child and the attachment figure, we could really see that first, when the child was very upset because it wanted the toy, it really lost the ground and it went out of the connection to itself. So it went out, it was escalating, it was not feeling really anymore. It was just in a situation of, one can say, an escalate situation. We often think this is normal aggression or normal anger, but we have to start to understand as a society that this is not, we don't have to mirror the child only in his anger. We have to see that it has first a healthy anger, that it wants to communicate his need, which we are invited as parents to help them to say what they want or to set the boundaries. But then we could see it was much more about the disappointment, that it didn't want to accept that life is not the way he wants it to be. It's this moment of frustration, and when the child is not with our support starting to feel the pain or the disappointment, then it comes to this deeper primary emotion, to the connection to itself. When it's not able to do that because we as parents have a hard time to read it, the child stays in a very de-escalated mode oftentimes. So every time you say no, or every time something is, it escalates very fast. And there is a lot of aggression going on, but this aggression is not a healthy primary emotion of anger. It's a running away of the capacity to really feel deeper. Maybe to feel the disappointment, maybe to feel the grief, maybe also to feel what I want, also my healthy needs. And maybe also it's the fear of just letting go, because when there is nobody there, it's hard for the child to really let go and open up when it's not sure that somebody is there. So I want, in some minutes, I want to guide you through a little inner experience, but I want to make a bit already the connection to why this is so important for us to understand, because there is so much going on in the world, as Kosha was mentioning it in the beginning. And what I really see is a lot of confusion about emotions or feelings, and how much of the crisis, in situations of crisis, how much is escalating because we do not know how to de-escalate in ourselves and for others, to be there for others. We often do the opposite. We often are even giving more oil into the fuel, into the fire. No? And this is very dangerous because of a lot of situations escalate like that. Yeah. It's also nice to see what you are writing, yes. So I want to see for a moment, does it make sense for you what I just shared? Does it make sense? Yeah. It's very, I think it's not only for parents, it's very important to know it's also in our relationships with our partners, or why we are also here today in situations of crisis. Can be family crisis, but can be crisis in war zones or on the world. And we are in times of crisis, as most of you maybe even better know than me, because you are here in a community who takes care of that. And it's very important to understand that we have a hard time to read if the feelings or the inner state of a person is connecting the person more to themselves, or if these feelings, which we are often mirroring and working with, is supporting us to run away of ourselves and our vulnerability. Maybe I can say a bit more about that later, but yeah. Okay, nice. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, if I differentiate between emotions or feelings, I mean, there are so many possibilities to say that. We could say in one model that emotions are maybe more the not so conscious felt feelings, and that the feelings are like more the ones who are really felt, but there are different models. So it depends a bit, yeah. What more important is that we understand that a so-called feeling which arises in us is not always a feeling. And you know, I find it very supportive to have this question. So you can ask this for yourself. Which feeling or emotion are you often going to? So you can check for a moment. What is the emotion which is closest to you, which is arising very fastly in you, you know? So some of us have very fast an anger reaction, you know, an anger reaction when something is. And this anger reaction, when it's something you go to very fast, when it's your go-to, it can be your default emotion. It can be what you are used since you were a child. What makes it a bit complicated is that the anger on a deeper level, when felt, can also be the primary emotion later on. And the other side, the grief, you can, if you are somebody, for example, it was me some years ago, I very fastly go to sadness, you know, like a bit a depressive sadness. And you can hang out in this feeling your whole life. You can feel it up and down and nothing is gonna change. You have a bit of a relief after a good cry, but nothing is really moved because you are still in the child consciousness. You are still in the brain of the child, trapped in the past, which Thomas is talking a lot about when trauma is happening, developmental trauma. So I feel the grief, but it feels hopeless. It feels very heavy, and I'm always staying there, and it's not really moving something. It's not really connecting me deeper. So this is something we can check for ourselves. And it's very important, even with the strong emotions, to understand that we do not support for example, children, also not ourselves, when we go heavily, strong and fast to anger, but the anger is there to avoid to feel deeper what's really going on. And my feeling is that we have a lot of confusion going on about this. And I think it's very important for us, when we want to grow into a more mature society, that we understand more what feelings are meaning. Feelings are there to really be felt, and they only can be felt when they are close to ourselves, when they are connecting us, and when they are in our body felt. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody was writing anxiety of waiting for the anger explosion. Yes. And that's a very good comment, because we often feel in our surrounding, when there is a strong anger explosion, a possible strong anger explosion, and also when the child has this energy, a lot of us are then afraid. So I want to guide you now into a little meditation. It's not a long one. And after that, I'm curious about your inner experience. So if it's okay for you, you can close the eyes for a moment. Yeah, and take some deeper breath. And maybe first you can just check in a bit and just be aware what's going on right now. If you are inspired or in thoughts or tired or whatever. So you don't have to change anything, but be curious. Then imagine being a surf in the rock. I mean, a rock in the surf. Imagine being a rock standing in an ocean since thousands of years. You are a huge rock in the surf, and the waves are coming and going. And you saw a lot of waves coming, and you saw a lot of waves going since thousands of years. You are standing there in a kind of a timeless way. Feel a moment how it is to be a rock in the ocean, in the surf. And now I want you to imagine that the next wave is coming towards you. And this wave is a lot of anger explosion energy. It's a lot of de-escalated energy. Maybe you can take a person you know in your life or a child, but you also can just imagine it as a wave with a lot of this de-escalated energy, anger, aggression energy, which is not connected. And take a moment to remember that you are the rock. You stay there. You are grounded very deeply. And then you see how the wave of this de-escalated energy is coming closer to you. And just be aware what's happening. It's coming closer. It's coming closer. You do not have to change anything but to be curious about what's going on. And then I invite you, when the wave is very close, to be ready to really get wet. So the whole wave, the water is breaking over you, and allow for a moment to see how it feels when you give yourself the permission to really get wet. And you still remember that you are a rock standing there thousands of years. So the water is now dribbling down, and the wave is gone. And take a moment to just look how this feels. And then I invite you to prepare a bit, to open your eyes in some moments. Take a moment to really connect to what you feel, and then you can open your eyes in a moment and take your time. Oh yes, escalated energy. Thank you, Kosha. So that was not meant that I said de-escalated energy, but we can see how it was for you, the journey. So I would be happy if you can write like a word or a sentence into the chat. Whatever your experience was, in a way of, did you have a moment of which was interesting for you, an inner insight in this journey? So I invite you to write something into the chat. You also can say something in person if you want to say a sentence too about your experience. So if somebody wants to share, can also share later on, but you can take a moment to write down, and I'm gonna read it. Ruhig, sicher, felt Peter's energy, Jesus' disciple. I don't know that word. Maybe somebody can, Kosha, maybe you know that?
Einer der Jünger, one of
Ah,
the
yes,
disciples, Peter, who was a disciple of Jesus. I don't
a
actually
disciple.
know the story.
Very good. Be
Hmm.
open to get totally wet. Yeah. Yeah, you are really invited to share kind of an inner um, insight you had in this experience, or something which was interesting for you. Connecting
And
with
he's
my
sharing
mother.
that Peter is sometimes known as the rock. So maybe he had this kind of capacity to be the rock in the ocean.
Beautiful. I love this, that Jesus also was happy to have somebody like Peter. Connecting with my boundaries. Strongness, calmness, feeling. This was as being the rock. I felt so solid and calm. I felt like part of the earth. So calm, I want to sleep. Palpable, shaky. Moment of fear when the wave drew near. Yes, that's very natural. Yeah, then when this arises in us, I just want to say, anyways, everything which is arising in you is just the right thing, because we are not looking for the right answer, we are just curious. And often there is also fear coming up in us when there is so much escalated energy. And it's what I said before, when you have a child, or when you have a grown up, it's a whole other story, who has a lot of this not content, not really felt energy. A lot for a lot of parents, it's not so easy to stay calm and positive and de-escalate. That's yeah. So Rahu, I don't know if I say your name right. You wanted to add something to your comment?
Yes, thank you so much, Kristen. Your voice is so calming, has such a great presence, and I felt just listening to your voice was healing in itself.
Mm.
And Kosha got it right. Peter was known as a rock, and I felt Peter's energy in the sense that it felt like being a witness, like the rock being a witness. So he could witness the water washing over, and then thusly it could be there. And the other thing I thought of was I started judging the rock because it's only a mineral. But then I realized that we're all minerals, made of mineral.
Right?
So
Isn't
we all
it?
would be part of that rock.
Exactly. We are. I'm so happy that you say that. It's so true. That's also why we can connect to that quality, because we are the stars and we are the rock. Yes,
Thank you
thank you
for
so.
bringing that quality in. I
Yes,
appreciate the experience.
yes, thank you too. And I think you said something really important, which I want to highlight for all of us. You said my voice was really calming. And I think this is something, because we are human beings, the voice, the energy of the voice is very important. I can say the same thing with a lot of charge, or I can say to my child something which is totally supporting him, or to really calm down. And this is very important also for us as grown-ups, because we get very fastly triggered when the energy of the voice is like oil into the fire, you know, when it has this energy. So this is very important what you said. And you said something else which I wanted to highlight, but I forgot. Maybe it comes to my mind later. So thank you very much. Yeah, I find myself very emotional. What a reminder, a motivator. What validation. Thank you so much. Yeah, and this also reminds me to really say, I really want to empathize our often not capacity to stay calm, and that there are deeper so-called good reasons why we couldn't learn that. When I say good reasons, I don't mean we are not responsible for that, to go on a journey and learn that. But it's always an very intelligent reaction to run away of ourselves, because this once supported our physical and emotional, our psychological and emotional existence. Maybe I can say a bit to that later, but it's very important that, because we often judge ourselves very fastly when we are not the parent which I was describing now, when we are not the partner which I was describing now. We have on the whole planet, we have this escalated energy. When we are honest, you know, we are in a state of being humans that we have to learn that we are not really in our adult consciousness or in our connected places as a society, and that this is a very important step for us, that we start to develop our capacity to support our inner de-escalation. It's not about being perfect. No parent is always perfect. No person. It's also not about not having strong feelings. It is about, can we start to de-escalate ourselves and starting to be with that capacity, send a kind of a rock in the surf. We are then the stability which is needed. It's not to be perfect, but I think it's very important for us to understand that most of us didn't have an upbringing where we really could stay connected to our authentic self and our authentic feelings. Yeah. Catherine.
I got disoriented and triggered with the de-escalated, and it really touched a deep place, a very young place in me, which couldn't trust, which is the story of my childhood. And it was very interesting to feel, okay, this part is getting very activated, and my solar plexus was getting like that. And to bring that part down again and feel, okay, yes, it is so. The right word is escalated, and my perception is right, and it's fine, and I can continue to trust. And it was very interesting experience that helped me to see how I can get activated and calm that down and understand where it comes from, and just calm it down.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think it's really huge what you shared, because it's about your perception or trusting also your own perception. And this is so needed in times of crisis, because, you know, sometimes it's more subtle. It's more subtle that other persons are from gaslighting to whatever, and it's so beautiful. I mean, again, I'm sorry that I took the wrong word, but it's so beautiful how you then did the process on your own with the moment, you know, like when the mother or the father, this is what you did with yourself, is saying, no, really, you feel it right. It's right how you see that, you know. And this was then comforting you, or gave you the safety. So you did the escalation in a, like, you know, like a babushka. I did it. You did it. Yes,
Right.
very beautiful.
My mother was Russian, so I relate to the babushka.
It's funny. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing it. Yeah, it helps
you.
us to understand this deeper what I mean. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Deeply grounded, a lot of unfinished emotions came up. Lovely, lovely. Yes, it's good, you know, that we start to see things peaceful, ancient connection as earth, timeless. There was a moment as the wave came closer that I was afraid I would lose my ground and become escalated myself. Exactly. That's so good that you share that, you know? And even to see that is so helpful, because then consciousness comes on board and is relating to what is going on inside of us. And this is the moment where we can start to not be only the reaction which we learned. You know? And I want to highlight that because very often we don't have connection to our moment of when we start to escalate. But we can train that like we did it in this little exercise. Yes. Hi.
Anya.
Anya, okay.
Hi. Yeah, I could feel myself as the rock and really solid, and that was wonderful. And the wave coming towards me with all this aggression and allowing it to go over me. But I had this thought, or this part of me that was like, oh, is it really okay to allow all this shit to come over me? Why am I putting up a boundary? You know, why am I protecting myself? And okay, it's not harming me, but yeah, I had a question about that. So yeah.
I'm so happy that you bring that in, because this is what I forgot to say before. I now remember. It's very important because you know, there is no right way. Maybe in your experience or where you come from or others, it's very important to feel this boundary, that you don't want this to have closer. So I'm not the person to judge it or to know what's best for you. But I want to give an understanding why I was inviting you all to get wet. Because what I often see is that we are scared or not feeling comfortable with this energy, whatever the energy is, you know, can be different, can be this anger, explosive, escalated energy, can also be other ways of energy switch. And then we naturally, because we don't feel comfortable with it, we are not truly connecting. I just try to make it a bit, we are not truly connecting So we want to have it a bit here. I don't say healthy boundaries are not very, very important, but when we do this with children, which is very important in my teaching with parents, is that the child is not so much reacting on the mother's support to help him to de-escalate. It cannot receive it because it's reacting or it's relating on this energy. So when we don't want to have this energy, the other person can feel that we don't want to relate or to connect, which again, it doesn't mean that I say no to the behavior. I say no to whatever, this is very important for most people to learn. But maybe it makes sense for you. I said wet because we need, when we have a healthy connection or relationship to our life force, to our healthy life aggression, which is a healthy life energy, which is not against somebody, which is supporting me to set healthy boundary, and which is supporting me to show up, and which is supporting me to share my needs. So this healthy life energy, which is distorted for a lot of us, when we do not have access to this, or to our own healthy protest energy, to our own healthy anger, which we had to swallow as children because it was too dangerous. When we do not have access to this energy, we are not able to connect to this wave. It's scary. It's too much. It's too big. And then we don't want it. I don't say that this was what you were experiencing, but I want to explain it. Then we don't want to have the wave. We don't want to have this person. And we are saying no to the relationship. And as I said, the children are often reacting to our disconnect. Does it make sense for you?
Yes, in the case of as an adult with a child, yes, but in the case of, say, an adult with an adult coming with a lot of aggression,
yeah,
it feels like, I mean, I did it in the exercise, but afterwards I thought, is this really okay?
Yeah, I like it really that you bring this in. I mean, my experience is I had a problem with too much explosive energy of other persons. I was a little bit scared because of my own bringing up. So I was going fastly to default emotion, which was crying. So it's more like how do you say, a disconnect too. It's kind of a helplessness. And I really was growing. I'm really growing. I did really grow into my healthy connection to my life energy. And now I can receive this energy because my energy is there, but I don't take the behavior of this person, So I think you are right too. It's not about, but I think this is meant by to have the capacity to get wet, is that we can stand in our center and it's just going through, and we don't have to defend, in a way. We can just feel it, and then we can say, okay, I heard you. I would really appreciate that we sit down. It doesn't feel like right in this tone, and let's drink a coffee, and then you can really explain what you mean. But when we're a little bit scared and we say stop, but then the other person is not reacting to the healthy boundary. The person is often reacting to our, I don't want you.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like the prompt, get ready to to get wet.
Mm.
Yeah, acknowledging that we are impacted by situations. Totally. Yeah, I really want to thank you for all these amazing comments. It's so interesting to see. And yeah, it's maybe really a good moment that I can check again what I want to offer, maybe final in the final 10 minutes. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing. And so what I said before, I know when we are in situations of crisis, it's not about a parent and a child, but maybe it got a bit more relatable. Why actually in crisis it looks like two adults, but if we are honest, we often are not as adults there. We are in the brain of the first 6 years, which is not regulated. Yeah, I'm going to say something about that, yes. So I just want to make it visible for us, even when I, Kirsten, stay there. And I'm crying because the person is so much in aggression against me. I'm not Kirsten with my age I'm now. I'm Kirsten as a child who was overwhelmed by the energy of my father. Yeah. And we are then not here with our fully capacity, which is totally fine. It's the path of healing. And we need this because we need this maturity, this capacity to stay highly calm, highly compassionate, and relate and attune positively to when somebody is escalating. And we need the capacity to discern what is the person really feeling. Is the person really connected to a primary emotion, as I said it, or to a deeper feeling, which he or her feels? Or is the person in it looks like a lot of emotions, but it's a default emotion, a reaction, a strategy, which was a very intelligent strategy I started to learn to protect. Mostly it's protecting the attachment relationship. And I think this is what I said. I wanted to highlight something about that. You said at one point, say yes to the relationship, but no to the behavior. Yes. Yes, I remember I wanted to say also something to this reaction, default emotion, strategy, and why I always say it's intelligent. So, as I said, as children, we are highly, highly, highly dependent on the attachment caregiver. And especially the first 6-7 year, we don't have a frontal cortex on board yet to reflect ourselves. I mean, we start to do that. Children are very conscious individuals, but in the stage of development, they really, really, really need an external figure. So in moments where me as a child, we come back to the example with the toy. I'm saying, I want this toy, I want this toy, I want this toy. And I'm hitting or I'm screaming. And mommy or daddy is very much stressed because she or he had an upbringing with a very aggressive, explosive, anger-driven father or shaming father, or yeah, whatever the story is. So this whole energy, this explosive energy, the mother or father cannot really be there for it. So one way is then that let's say it's a mother, that she is exploding and really punishing the child. Now you stop, now finish. Yeah, you know, that we really want to discipline the child and stop. Yeah, stop the behavior. Or the other possibility is that we give up. You know, a lot of parents are giving up, they are helpless, they don't know what to do with the children. Nowadays we have really a lot of children who are in this highly tension mode because nobody can calm them down. Yeah. But to come back to what I wanted to share, let's say the mom is discipline the child in a not so discipline is sometimes very important, but we can do it out of a relatedness. But mom is really scared, and she is not able to feel the fear. She is also escalating, and then she is punishing the child, you know, or she's saying, maybe I even like more when mother is losing the ground and feels helpless. And the child has now nobody there to regulate himself. What's happening now, to make it very clear, is that the child starts to build a kind of a strategy to hold himself. And I want to explore it a bit more in a very short time. So the first thing which happens is that the child believes my will, my autonomy, that I want a toy, or my authentic life energy, or my needs, or me as a person is wrong. I'm wrong, or my needs are wrong, my life energy is wrong, my authentic autonomy is wrong. Because, and this is very important for us, because a child in the first 5, 6, 7 years can never tell himself, oh, mama have had a really hard upcoming, she cannot relate to me, it's not personal, I don't have to take it personal. The child can't do that because, as I said, it's this external structure which it's highly dependent on. So what is happening? The child, when this has happened again and again and again, the child starts to believe his will, his autonomy, wanting to have something, or his emotion is wrong. And this is a very toxic relationship to his autonomy in this case. It can't build a healthy self-connection to his autonomy, to his will, that the will is beautiful, but you can't have everything, and that you also have to learn when you have to let go. No, the child cannot learn that. The child learns, and this is a lot of people have learned that when I want something, it's dangerous. I can't bring this into a relationship. So, but at the first, to make it very clear, the first thing which is happening is that the child believes his autonomy is not good. Something is wrong with him. And this is the first identification. It's an idea about himself, and it protects the relationship. Like this, when the child thinks something with me is wrong, still I have this safety with my attachment figure. This is my whole universe. And to feel safe in this whole universe, I need to feel wrong as a child in these first years, that I can stay safe. So when I feel my autonomy is something with my autonomy or life energy is wrong, I start to build strategies around. For example, me, I try to be a very nice child. I try to please. I was a people pleaser. So this is the strategy how I survived, or how I tried to make myself safe. I could not be dependent and just be a child. As many of us, I had to work for my relationship, to be nice so that I get the love. Because deeply inside, I believe something is wrong with that. So I have to fit in, that I feel safe. And this is connected to make it now around, because we softly, slowly come to an end of the call of today. I want to make the connection again to the primary and the default emotion. Now I'm stuck in this strategy which helped me to survive. And when I'm grown up, I still believe it's more safe to be a people pleaser. And I still believe, maybe I don't share it with nobody, that something is deeply wrong with my will or with my aliveness or authentic life energy. And these are strategies or identifications we build about ourselves, and they are connected to emotions which are letting us stay in this default. We stay in this default because it feels safe. So our default reactions, as stupid they sometimes feel, they try to support us to feel safe. But, and this is my last sentence about that, they are very intelligent because they once protected us to feel safe. But now, as adults, we really, really can start to reconnect to our primary emotions and again feel as a child, I want this toy, and now I start to feel and embody, I want this toy, and I bring it to my partner or other people in my life, what I really want, and I can stay there if other persons say no, or maybe they don't like me anymore when I come with my autonomy, but I can still feel safe as a grown-up person because I'm not dependent anymore on other persons in that way as I was as a child. Yes, so this was maybe a little roundup which we could dive much more deeper into, but I just wanted to say we all have very intelligent reasons which are protecting us which did protect us, and no reaction and no default emotion is stupid. Yes, so I come to an end, and I really hope that I invite you to just take everything with which is inspiring for you, and the rest you just can't forget. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kirsten. And as so many have said, I think we'll all walk around like this for a little while. When? How do we shift? Right. Thank you very much. And yeah, I can see how much resonance this meets. And I think it's really the precision of the explanation. We kind of all know this, but then when it becomes so precise, with the slowness and the regulation of your voice and nervous system, it finds more space to land, where the water actually seeps into the rock. Yeah. So thank you, and we will invite Kirsten back, of course, and maybe also in the coming year we can arrange a regenerative masterclass with you, Kirsten. So thank you for journeying with us. Thank you for being here tonight. Yeah, and thank you for each of us bringing awareness to ourselves, to life, to each other, so that we bring more awareness to the world around us. Huge thank you to you, Kirsten, and gratitude to everybody who is present here today. This recording will go out to everybody who signed up. We had more than 500 of us sign up for this call today, so many of us will be inspired by this, also at later points. Be well, be safe, and over to the gallery view and some sounds to complete our journey for tonight.